There's a beautiful couple of scriptures or verses in the biography of Sri Ramakrishna, the life of Sri Ramakrishna in his gospel, where he's talking about his relationship with the divine and telling a group of people about it. It's wonderful. It's something quite beautiful to contemplate. He says, when one has knowledge, one does not see God anymore at a distance. One does not think of him anymore as he. He becomes this. Then he is seen in one's own heart. God dwells in every man. He who seeks God realizes him. I love the betrayed intimacy here, how he shows that closeness with God, how God becomes something as close to us as our own self. We bring him inside our body, inside of our mind. I talk about this so much because it's one of the things that helps me the most with understanding the idea of a God, the idea of this beloved, that there really is no outside of you. We've talked about that before. That just like in a dream, you can have an outside world, large numbers of people, cities, mountains, and be dealing with all of them as being outside of yourself, and yet they are all within you. Vivekananda makes that point, and we talk about it ad infinitum. But this is the fact, this intimacy of the divine, that God stops being something that we believe in, that something's distant from us, that something is outside of our own experience and our own daily life, that somehow we have to tell him everything going on in our life and explain everything going on to him in our mind, when in fact we know that God is one with us. That God experiences our life in real time as we experience our life, and actually that experience with the divine is closer than our own self, that God actually knows the feelings of our heart, the longings of our mind, even before we do, that in fact this is God living life through us, that that kind of intimacy is there. Is something to work for. Now, when he tells this group of people this notion about God, tells them about this intimacy, I ask you, as you hear it from me even now, what are your thoughts inside? What are those thoughts? Write them down and think about them. Are they valid? Because the judge who is listening in this group of men to Ramakrishna speak, he says, "Sir, I'm a sinner. How can I say that God dwells in me?" You see, this is the idea. Anytime we think of God, instead of thinking about God, we immediately think about ourselves. When we think about the company of the divine, we immediately focus on ourselves. Oh, my impurity, oh, my lack of whatever, I'm so this, I'm so that. And we become consumed with ourselves. That's selfishness. That's ego. That is in no way meek. That is no way humble. That is not the right attitude at all. If you're in the company of the beloved, and this is something to meditate on, this is something really to think about, when you're in the company of that divinity, that pure love, that perfect love, with an intimacy that betrays, that's even closer than your own mind, than the voices of your own thought, where will you be? You'll be inundated with love. You will be so overwhelmed with the beauty of the experience, with the wonder of the seeing and the knowing. This divine friend suddenly is and manifests as that which you have always dreamed. Where will thoughts about yourself be? They are not there. They are not there. That's how the mind and the heart naturally becomes thou instead of me and mine. It becomes you. And the master jumps on it right here. He says, that's the trouble with you Brahmos. The Brahmos is this group of men. They belong to a religious group called the Brahmos. He said, that's the problem with you. With you it is always sin, sin, sin. That's the Christian view, isn't it? Once a man gave me a Bible. A part of it was read to me, and it was full of that one thing, sin and sin. One must have such faith that one can say, I have uttered the name of God. I have repeated the name of Rama or Hari. How can I be a sinner? One must have faith in the glory of God's name. One has to have faith in how many ways that the divine has tried to tell us that the point is not our shortcomings. The point is not our sinfulness, quote, our error, our ignorance. The point is the relationship. The point is the grace. The point is the love beyond our wildest imaginations, a peace beyond understanding. That is where the heart sits when it thinks of God. That's where the mind takes repose when it thinks of God, not in selfish and egoistic thoughts of ourself and our worthiness or lack of worthiness, all of those things. So today, sit with the beloved and think about that love. Think about that endless grace. Think about that which does not come measured out in accordance with what we deserve or what we earn. But think about love for love's own sake, that it is God's nature to love, and that your shortcomings, that your ignorances, that your sinfulness, as it were, has nothing to do with that. And as that idea fills your mind, those weaknesses will take flight. Freedom will be your greatest manifestation.